LoveLore Library. Chapter 286. In the hallway, the agent strode to catch up with the young man in front. "Brother Shin, are we just going to let this go?" "What do you mean by, let it go? Do you think I'm the kind of person who will swallow the bitter pill?" The young man in front paused and took off his sunglasses, revealing a pair of flirtatious foxy eyes. The young man had a very outstanding face. Even though the agent often saw it, he was still dazzled by it. He was indeed the top god of the entertainment circle. With just a face, he could attract countless fans. But now, your endorsements and scripts have all been secretly manipulated by the company and given to Zhou Qing. It's the former company that is about to terminate the contract. Shin Yu corrected the agent. "Okay, the former company. What do you think the people in that company are thinking? They didn't support you, who had a bright future, but supported Zhou Qing, who is inferior to you in every aspect." The agent became more and more indignant. Since the beginning of his career, he had been guiding Shin Yu. Not to mention other things, Shin Yu's face alone was enough to make him thrive in the entertainment circle. Not to mention Shin Yu's natural acting skills. All the directors he had worked with said that he was born to be in this industry. In the beginning, the company had indeed poured its resources into Shin Yu. Because of Shin Yu, a mediocre agency had become one of the hottest companies in the industry. Just when everyone thought that the two sides could continue to maintain a harmonious and friendly relationship, Zhou Qing's appearance broke everything. Hearing the agent's words, Shin Yu's mouth curved into a smile. Isn't the reason obvious? Zhou Qing hooked the new boss's heart and gave him whatever he wanted. It's just a few resources. It's not troublesome at all. Shin Yu wasn't someone who would be bullied easily. After knowing that the resources that should have belonged to him were secretly manipulated and given to others, he directly complained to the higher-ups of the company. The new boss felt that he had lost face and said that unless he was willing to admit his mistake, he wouldn't accept any jobs for the time being. It was equivalent to directly freezing him. "I'm afraid it's not just that. He wants to use this to force you to submit." The agent looked at the young man's face and sighed heavily. In the entertainment circle, with such a face, it was good to be successful, but it would also bring a lot of trouble. Is the new CEO really trying to support his new lover? But that wasn't necessarily the case. He just wanted to take out his anger on Shin Yu because he failed and was taught a lesson instead. Fortunately, Shin Yu's contract was about to expire. They still had a way out. "Hello, are you Mr. Shin and Mr. Wang?" A young man in a suit walked over. "Yes," the agent replied. "I'm Mr. Shang's secretary. My surname is Du, please follow me." Secretary Du led the two of them to the private elevator that led straight to the top floor. Along the way, the manager was extremely nervous. They had come here because they had no other choice. Shin Yu's original company, Fictional Entertainment, had a lot of say in the industry. They said that no one dared to take the risk of offending Fictional Entertainment to take over Shin Yu, only Xingyao. Xingyao was a new entertainment company that had risen in the past 2 years. Backed by the Shang Corporation, even if it was a new company, no one dared to provoke them. After all, as one of the leading enterprises in the country, the Shang Corporation wasn't something that anyone could afford to offend. Needless to say, the Shang Corporation had always been cooperating with the country. They were involved in a wide range of industries. No one would be stupid enough to provoke such a giant. In the elevator, Secretary Du quietly sized up Shin Yu. He remembered that he was Mr. Shang's special assistant. This Mr. Shang didn't refer to Xingyao's CEO, but the entire Shang Corporation CEO, Shang Junlin. Xingyao had been established for 2 years. It had always been managed by Shang Junlin's cousin. Shang Junlin rarely asked about this company, until Shin Yu's incident happened. The news that Shin Yu was being harassed by Fictional Entertainment wasn't a secret in the circle. After Shang Junlin knew about it, he asked Xing Yao to extend an olive branch to Shin Yu's agent. He also specifically told him that if Shin Yu came, he should bring him to see him directly. Therefore, the person who appeared in Xing Yao's CEO's office today wasn't Xing Yao's CEO, but Shang Junlin. Secretary Du didn't know what his boss was thinking, but when he saw Shin Yu for the first time, he knew that this was an existence that could make countless people go crazy. The elevator stopped, and Secretary Du led him straight to the largest office area. Knock knock. The office door was knocked regularly. Come in. A man's deep and majestic voice came from the office. Secretary Du pushed the door open and made an inviting gesture. Shin Yu and his agent stepped into the office. Seeing the man sitting behind the desk, Shin Yu was stunned. He had seen Xing Yao's CEO before. Obviously, the man in front of him wasn't. Compared to his impression of Xing Yao's CEO, this man was younger and more handsome. He had sharp eyebrows and bright eyes. His facial features were well defined. Under his chiseled face, he gave people a sense of distance. This is. His agent also noticed that something was wrong. It's Mr. Shang, the CEO of the Shang Corporation. Secretary Du explained. I have understood Mr. Shin's situation. Mr. Wang, you can talk to Secretary Du about the cooperation. The man said in a cold tone. Mr. Wang, please come with me. Secretary Du led the dazed agent to the next room. Compared to his agent, Shin Yu's performance was much calmer. After looking around, Shin Yu walked to the desk, put his hands on the desk, and looked down at the man. Mr. Shang, you asked me to stay alone. Do you have something to say to me? Or, you promised to help me? What do you want from me? Shin Yu never thought that there was a free lunch in the world. After being in the entertainment industry for a long time, this sentence was even more true. After he fell into a low point, it wasn't that no one had offered to help him, but these people had obvious motives. If it was so easy to give in, Shin Yu wouldn't have gotten himself into such a situation. These people were all blacklisted by Shin Yu. When he received the olive branch from Xing Yao, Shin Yu didn't think that the other party would help him for no reason. He just didn't expect that the person behind the scenes would be the CEO of the Shang Corporation. The CEO of the Shang Corporation was very mysterious. The outside world didn't know much about him. Shin Yu had only heard about him occasionally from others. It was said that he was an unreasonable and ruthless person. The image of the man in the mouth of others was very different from the person he saw in person today. What do you think I want? Shang Junlin looked up and met Shin Yu's sharp eyes. It said that Mr. Shang doesn't do business without benefits. I think, I can't bring any benefits to Mr. Shang right now, right? Shin Yu knew himself well. Not to mention his current achievements, even if he stood at the top of the entertainment industry, the benefits he could bring to the CEO of the Shang Corporation were limited. What if I say that I want you? The man relaxed and leaned against the back of the chair. His hands were folded in front of him, and his eyes were direct. The strange thing was that the man's expression didn't change even though he said such words. Only the fire in his eyes showed his master's true intentions. He's looking at me seriously, and I don't hate it. Shin Yu had a strange feeling in his heart. After being in the entertainment industry for so many years, he had encountered all kinds of gazes. Some were jealous, some were admiring, some were envious, and some were disgusting. The man's gaze didn't belong to any of them. It was as if he was just answering his question seriously and didn't make him feel uncomfortable. I don't think that the CEO of the Shang Corporation would lack a bed warmer. Shin Yu raised his eyebrows. Not a bed warmer. The man frowned. Did someone ask you for such a thing? Shinyu felt that he could hear the displeasure in the man's tone. He smiled. Isn't this kind of thing normal in the entertainment industry? Who? The man pressed his lips and his aura became cold. Shinyu was really sure this time that the man was angry. Why? Mr. Shang, why are you asking this? Are you going to help me teach them a lesson? They shouldn't have been so rude to you. Only Mr. Shang can do it, right? For some reason, Shinyu wanted to tease the man who was angry because he was offended. I can't do it either. Shang Junlin looked up at Shinyu and explained seriously. I didn't mean that. I like your works very much. I don't want those people with bad taste to hinder your career. Shinyu stood up and put his sunglasses on the desk. He walked to the sofa and sat down. I thought I had charmed Mr. Shang and made him come to Xingyao personally. It seems that I was overthinking. Since that's the case, let's do business according to the rules. The man who had always been good at strategizing in the business world was at a loss. He didn't understand why Shinyu's attitude suddenly became cold. He stood up subconsciously and walked to Shinyu. I'm not. If someone else said that, I would be angry. But if it's Mr. Shang, I don't think there's anything to be angry about. Shinyu suddenly interrupted Shang Junlin. He looked up at the man who had walked in front of him. If I bribed Mr. Shang, can those people from Feng Shang Entertainment get their retribution? How do you want to bribe? Seeing the sly look in the young man's eyes, Shang Junlin knew that he had just been teased. Well. Shinyu blinked. It depends on what kind of a bribe Mr. Shang wants. Shang Junlin's eyes darkened. He put one hand on the back of the sofa behind Shinyu. Anything. The man didn't hide his aggression. Shinyu smiled. Didn't Mr. Shang say that you don't have those people's intentions? It's not that I don't. I just don't want to show it and scare you. But Shang Junlin found that the young man didn't seem to be scared. He didn't show any disgust at his real intentions. He had been paying attention to the young man for a while. Naturally, he knew that the young man was different from some people in the entertainment industry. If he was really someone who would do anything to achieve his goals, he wouldn't be embarrassed like this. Brother Shin, we're done here. Come and take a look at the contract. The agent was halfway through his words when he saw the young man being pressed on the sofa by Mr. Shang. After he reacted, he quickly turned his head. I didn't see anything. You can continue. Shang Junlin let go of his hand and stood up. A trace of regret flashed in his heart. Shin Yu stood up as well. He didn't feel the slightest bit embarrassed that his good deed had been exposed. He glanced at his manager, who was emitting a bleak aura with his back facing him. Before Shang Junlin could react, he quickly kissed the man on the face. Give Mr. Shang some interest first. The agent couldn't stay for another minute. He hurriedly left with Shinyu. Shang Junlin looked at the closed door and touched the place where Shinyu kissed. Genius 1 second. Remember this website, www.biku50. CC Literature Mobile Version Website, Biku50. CC. Chapter 287. On the way from Xingyao to Shinyu's apartment, the agent wanted to ask something but hesitated. Ask whatever you want. Back at the apartment, Shinyu relaxed and threw himself on the sofa. You and Mr. Shang. The agent opened his mouth and hesitated for a moment. Haven't you always hated this kind of relationship? Ever since he entered the entertainment industry, the agent had been by Shinyu's side. With such a face and in a place like the entertainment industry, it was easy to imagine what kind of things he would encounter. Shinyu had put in a lot of effort to get to where he was now. Even the crisis this time was the result of his unwillingness to compromise. What kind of person do you think Mr. Shang is? Shin Yu didn't answer his question. Instead, he asked another question. Cold and powerful, the agent answered without hesitation. If such a person really wants something, why does he have to take such a big detour? You've seen the contract. It's very beneficial to us, and it doesn't mention anything about me needing to pay extra. That's true, but... The agent was still worried. He knew better than anyone how attractive Shin Yu was. The development of the situation this time was beyond his expectations, and he couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Next, it's time for Zhou Qing to spit out the benefits he took from me with interest. Shin Yu curled his lips, and a dangerous look flashed in his eyes. Shin Yu's phone suddenly vibrated. He took it out and clicked on it. It was a friend request. Shin Yu's finger swiped. Just as he was about to ignore this message, he saw the other party's name, Shang Junlin. Shin Yu paused and accepted the other party's friend request. He wasn't surprised that the other party had his contact information. When he left, he also got the other party's business card. Shin Yu found the business card. It was black with gold embossing. It was simple and elegant. Shin Yu rubbed the business card and saw a string of numbers on the back. He tentatively entered the number. It was the number that had just added him as a friend. Did he give him his private contact information? Shin Yu found it funny. He picked out a cute greeting from the emoji pack and sent it over. Not long after, the other party replied. Shang, home. Cutie Yu, here we are. Is this Mr. Shang's private contact number? Shang, yes, if anything happens, send me a message directly. Cutie Yu, Mr. Shang, do you think I will be bullied? If I am bullied, will the Chamber of Commerce help me? Cat head gif, Shang, no one will dare to bully you in the future. Cutie Yu, Boss Shang, you're so nice. Then you have to keep a close eye on me. Don't let me get bullied in a place you can't see. Shang, okay. His serious answer made Shin Yu want to chat with him. Unknowingly, he talked a lot with him. When the manager turned around and saw Shin Yu sitting on the sofa with a smile on his face, he asked curiously, "What did you see that made you so happy?" Zhou Qing is in trouble. It's just a small joke. The agent's words reminded Shin Yu. Send a copy of the information we collected before to your subordinates. Also, contact the people in Xingyao. We haven't signed a contract with Starshine yet. Isn't it inappropriate to look for them now? It's okay. You just have to tell them. After talking to his manager, Shin Yu continued to reply to Shang Junlin's messages. Cutie Yu, Mr. Shang, I have some evidence about Feng Shang. I asked my manager to send it to Xingyao. Shang, I'll get someone to deal with it. After replying, Shang Junlin dialed the internal line. Feng Shang Entertainment. Investigate this company in the past few years. The secretary was surprised for a moment, but he quickly agreed. After developing in the entertainment industry for so many years, Shin Yu had a team that specialized in serving him. With the help of the people in Xingyao, the negative comments about Shin Yu on the internet instantly reversed. Shaking Rabbit, have you seen the latest news? Feng Shang is too low. They actually used SY's resources to promote ZQ. Particles Light, I saw it. It's all solid evidence. This melon has reversed too quickly. ZQ's fans are still angry. Why don't they take a look at their boss? He's nothing compared to SY. Wind and Rain, SY is one of the founding members of Feng Shang Entertainment. Why is he being treated like this? Fate, it's like this. According to the internal news, the new boss of Feng Shang wanted to do something to SY, but SY refused. They had a falling out and ZQ took the opportunity to get close to the new boss. So, Wind and Rain, there's actually such a big melon. Buying chopped hands. Not only that, Fictional also joined forces with other companies in the entertainment industry to suppress SY. The netizens passionately ate the melon. Soon, this news became a hot topic. Some resourceful netizens summarized which resources Zhou Qing had snatched from Xinyu. After the news was released, the netizens almost attacked Zhou Qing and Fictional Entertainment's Weibo. When the new boss of Fictional received the news, he was so angry that he smashed the things on his desk. What are you doing? How can you let this kind of news climb to the top of the search? We contacted the platform immediately, but they refused to take it down. The person in charge was in a difficult position. Who is helping him behind the scenes? Who is even willing to go against Fictional? The new boss of Fiction's face was gloomy. In order to force Xinyu to submit, he had put in a lot of effort this time. He was about to succeed, but who knew that there would be a sudden reversal? Seeing the duck that was about to be in his hands fly away, the new boss of Fictional was very anxious. This time, the one who was affected the most was undoubtedly Zhou Qing. At first, there were still fans who fought for him, but they didn't expect that the more they fought, the more it became true. In the end, the partners that they had agreed to cooperate with also called and hinted that they couldn't continue the cooperation. Xinyu also received a lot of calls from people who wanted to cooperate with him again, but they were all rejected by him. This is the new plan that we have made for Mr. Shin. Of course, Mr. Shin can tell us if there's anything wrong with it. After receiving instructions from the higher-ups, the person from Xinyao who was in charge of liaising with Xinyu was very respectful to him. In the bright and clean office, Xinyu sat on the sofa, holding the development plan that Xinyao had sorted out overnight. Xinyu read it very carefully. Although it didn't take long, Xinyu could see that this plan was carefully made. It considered all the possible aspects that might appear in the future. Each of them maximized the benefits for Xinyu to the extreme, and gave him enough time to rest. After reading it, Xinyu put forward some of his own ideas and made some adjustments to this perfect plan. After the discussion, the person in charge talked about the termination of the contract. Mr. Shin, your contract with Fictional will expire in a month. Do you want it to expire automatically, or? I intend to terminate the contract voluntarily. After the termination, I will sign a contract with your company. Also, I have a team of people who will continue to work for me. Mr. Shin, don't worry. We won't interfere too much in your affairs. This discussion went very smoothly. When he left, Xinyu was in a good mood. His agent walked beside him and sighed. Xinyao is indeed under the Shang group. They are so generous. All kinds of treatment and resources were far from what Fictional Entertainment could compare with. Xinyu used to fight for a lot of resources by himself. After Fictional became bigger, they thought that they could allocate those resources at will and gave them to others. Several of the collaborations that Zhou Qing had accepted were all won by Xinyu. Xinyu's phone vibrated. He took a look at it and said to his agent, "You go back first." The agent still wanted to talk to him in detail about the future development, but he was surprised. What's wrong? Xinyu shook his phone. I have an appointment. Shang Junlin sent a message on the phone, saying that he was free and invited him to meet up. Who is it? Shall I send you there? Xinyu shook his head. He will be here soon. As soon as he finished speaking, a Maybach slowly stopped beside them. The car window rolled down, revealing the handsome side profile of a man. The agent closed his mouth. He understood. In that case, I will go and talk about the work you arranged earlier. The car door opened. Xinyu got in and sat beside the man. Mr. Shang, are you not busy today? It was the first time Xinyu saw Shang Junlin since that day. The man was still in a suit, and the sapphire cufflinks at the cuffs added a touch of elegance. "I'm not busy." Shang Junlin didn't say a word about the fact that he had postponed several meetings just to see the young man. "Mr. Shang, where are you going to take me?" Shin Yu looked at the scenery flashing by the window and asked. "To eat." Shang Junlin seemed to be worried that Shin Yu would think that he was too cold. He added, "The owner of a private restaurant is good at cooking. I want to take you to try it." "Is Mr. Shang so considerate to everyone?" Shin Yu asked knowingly. Shang Junlin looked at him deeply. "Mr. Shin, do you think I am such a person?" Shin Yu shook his head honestly. The two chatted casually, and the atmosphere wasn't awkward. Half an hour later, they arrived at the private restaurant Shang Junlin mentioned. Shang Junlin had booked a table in advance. After the two got out of the car, the waiter led them all the way inside. After taking their seats, the two of them didn't have to wait for long. Dishes were served one after another. "I ordered some first. See if they are to your liking." Every dish was delicious. Under the attack of the aroma, Shin Yu had long forgotten about other things. He couldn't wait to taste it. Shin Yu sighed with satisfaction. "Only when I don't need to work can I enjoy delicious food at will." During the meal, Shin Yu found that Shang Junlin was very good at taking care of people. For example, Shang Junlin would pick food for him according to his preferences, help him pick out fish bones, and peel shrimp and crab shells. Shin Yu only needed to be responsible for eating. "Mr. Shang, you are so good at taking care of people. Your partner will definitely be very happy in the future." Shang Junlin stopped peeling the crab shell. "You don't know how to take care of people." After eating a mouthful of crab meat, Shin Yu narrowed his eyes. "How lucky am I to be able to enjoy such thoughtful care from Mr. Shang." During the meal, both the guests and the host enjoyed themselves. Shin Yu ate happily, and Shang Junlin also served him happily. After the meal, Shang Junlin sent Shin Yu back. "If you like it, why don't you come again next time?" Shang Junlin asked in a low voice in the car. "As long as Mr. Shang doesn't find it troublesome." After this interaction, Shin Yu found that Shang Junlin was a very easy person to get along with. When he was with him, he could completely relax. Shin Yu hadn't felt this comfortable with anyone for a long time. The security of Shin Yu's place was very good. There was no need to worry about paparazzi. When they came back, it was already late. The fiery red sunset hung on the horizon, softening the eyebrows of the people around him. The Maybach stopped slowly. Shang Junlin got out of the car first, and Shin Yu followed behind him. "I'm very happy with today's dinner, Mr. Shang." Shang Junlin's tense expression completely relaxed after hearing this sentence. "As long as you're happy." He was afraid that his arrangement wouldn't satisfy the young man. Shang Junlin was tall. Even though Shin Yu was 1.8 meters tall, he was still half a head taller than Shin Yu. Shin Yu looked at him. The man lowered his head slightly. His eyes were full of tenderness and unconcealable love. Shin Yu suddenly stepped forward and hugged the man. Feeling the man's body suddenly tense, he chuckled and whispered in the man's ear, "Mr. Shang, I'm also very happy that you helped me vent my anger." Shang Junlin only felt something brush his ear. It was soft and slightly cold. Before he could feel it carefully, the young man had already moved away. There was a flash of disappointment in his heart. Under the tall trees, the young man in a beige sweater hugged the man in a suit. The atmosphere was warm. Shin Yu saw that the ear that he had bullied was gradually dyed red. His heart was slightly moved. The CEO of the Shang Corporation was surprisingly innocent, and surprisingly, a little tasty. "Mr. Shang, you helped me. It's time for me to repay you." "No need," the young man's refusal was stopped. He put his index finger on the man's lips, raised his head slightly, and kissed his finger. Their breaths mingled. Shang Junlin could feel the young man's breath invading him little by little. There was only the young man's finger between their lips, as if they were really kissing. Genius 1 second. Remember this website, www.biku50.cc Literature Mobile Version Reading Website, biku50.cc. Chapter 288. Shin Yu retreated a little from the man's embrace and smiled at the man's face that suddenly deepened. What is this? Shang Junlin's voice was slightly hoarse. Just a small reward. Shin Yu seemed to be unaware of the dangerous aura of the man. She smiled and said, I can't let Mr. Shang work for nothing. Do you know what this means? Shang Junlin's eyes darkened. Mr. Shang, I'm an adult and an artist who has worked in the entertainment industry for many years. I'm not a baby who lives in an ivory tower. Shin Yu's eyes were slightly provocative. Shang Junlin no longer restrained himself. He reached out and pressed the back of Shin Yu's head, pressing her towards him. Shin Yu suddenly opened her eyes wide. Her lips were hot. Their lips touched. This time, there was no obstruction between their lips. A strong sense of invasion swept over. Her lips were sucked, nibbled, and her breath was robbed. The surrounding temperature rose. Shin Yu couldn't help but grab the man's clothes. Wrinkles appeared on the iron suit jacket. In a trance, Shin Yu heard footsteps approaching. She panicked and pushed the man. Someone's coming. Oh, Shang Junlin sucked the young man's lips fiercely before letting him go. There seems to be someone. Shin Yu lowered her head and leaned her forehead on the man's shoulder. She was panting slightly. The footsteps were getting closer. Shin Yu didn't dare to expose her relationship with Shang Junlin in this situation. She couldn't help but nervously grab the man's clothes. Shang Junlin lowered his eyes slightly. He could see a red color spreading from the young man's neck. He hugged the young man in his arms and said, Don't be afraid. The two of them hid between the black car and the tree. Every approaching footstep seemed to step on Shin Yu's heart. Shang Junlin patted Shin Yu's back comfortingly and said, No one will come. Sure enough, not long after, Shin Yu heard the footsteps stop. The owner seemed to have turned around. Not long after, the footsteps gradually faded away. He wouldn't be discovered. Shin Yu heaved a sigh of relief and leaned against the man. Shang Junlin was considerate and did not ask further. However, this accident had ruined the romantic atmosphere between the two of them. Shin Yu was not in the mood to do anything else. Getting up from the man's arms, the young man had returned to his usual appearance. Looking at Shang Junlin's wrinkled coat, Shin Yu frowned. Do you want me to go up and deal with it? Shang Junlin did not refuse. After entering the house, Shin Yu asked Shang Junlin to take off his coat and take care of it himself. He would iron his own gowns occasionally, so he was not unfamiliar with this kind of thing. There's water on the table. You can pour yourself some if you want. Fortunately, only a small part of the coat was wrinkled by him, so it wasn't troublesome to deal with it. After ironing it, Shin Yu came out with the coat. I only did a simple job. I'm not a professional, so I'll have to trouble Mr. Shang to make do with it. Shang Junlin took the coat and put it in the crook of his arm. The man was wearing a white shirt with the buttons buttoned to the top. A dark patterned tie was meticulously tied around his neck. Every part of his body exuded an air of abstinence. On the contrary, Shin Yu was dressed much more casually. A loose beige sweater added a lazy temperament to him. When he stood next to Shang Junlin, not only did he not look out of place, but they also complemented each other. Shang Junlin did not stay for long. After he left, his agent pushed the door open and came in. The work over there has been decided. You can shoot it directly in 2 days. The agent knew that Shinyu had a plan in mind and would not ask about his private affairs. I know. How are the preparations for the termination of the contract going? Shinyu leaned on the sofa, his posture lazy. Don't worry. Your good President Shang has even arranged a lawyer for you. Once we handle the evidence here, we can directly terminate the contract. Speaking of this, the agent sighed in his heart. He was also used to seeing big waves in the entertainment industry. He had never seen anyone like Shang Junlin. Not only was he generous, but he also considered every detail. If Shinyu had met him earlier, he would not have had to take so many detours. By the way, Director Yuan sent an invitation for the film. Do you want to take it? It's Cloud Top. Yes, Director Yuan is aiming for an award this time. The cast is good. If you agree, you will be the male lead. Didn't Director Yuan already have a candidate for the male lead? When he first found out about this script, Shinyu had the idea of taking it. But at that time, he and Feng Shang were in a deadlock. When he heard that Director Yuan already had a candidate in mind, he gave up. Director Yuan originally wanted you to take the role. He already sent the invitation. Who knew that Feng Shang would take it? They wanted to use the same trick and push Zhou Qing over. Director Yuan was not willing, so he said those words. The agent pouted. He was very disdainful of Feng Shang's actions. Who is the investor of Cloud Top? It's Xinyu Technology and Xinyao. Take it. Okay, I will send you the script later. Take a look first. Also, if you accept this script, you will have to join the cast in a few days. Okay, I will take a look first. Cloud Top was a big production fantasy drama. From the moment the news was released, countless people had their eyes on it. Shinyu had not yet terminated his contract with Feng Shang. His agent and the cast discussed and decided not to announce that he would be taking part in the drama. After contacting Director Yuan, Shinyu sent a message to Shang Junlin. Cute you, did Director Shang help me get the male lead role in Cloud Top? A long time had passed since the news of Cloud Top was released. All the preparation work was done. The main actors and supporting roles were announced one by one. As soon as the male lead was in place, filming could start immediately. Shinyu did not think that the other party would wait for him for so many days in vain. He knew that he did not have the charm. The other party's reply confirmed Shinyu's thoughts. Shang, if you don't like it, you can find another one. Although Shinyu had not officially signed the contract with Xinyao had done a lot of preparation work. Other than the Cloud Top, Shinyu also received a few high-quality scripts. Without exception, all of them were invested in by Xinyao. Cute you, it's not that I don't like it. I just think that Director Shang will spoil me. Shang, you deserve the best. Shinyu stared at the phone screen and covered his face. The straightforward Director Shang was really irresistible. With the legal team provided by Shang Junlin, the termination of Shinyu's contract with Feng Shang went very smoothly. It was even smoother than Shinyu had imagined. As soon as the termination was announced, it immediately became a hot search. Yuyu's big wife, our Yuyu has finally terminated his contract with Feng Shang. Repost this Weibo post and choose 10 people to give the latest intelligent robot from Xinyu Technology. The repost below was the termination notice that Shinyu had posted on Weibo. The notice was very long. It stated in detail how much resources Shinyu had taken away from Feng Shang and how much pressure they had put on him. After the fans saw it, they were furious. They tore apart Feng Shang Entertainment and Zhou Qing's company into the hot search. The most eye-catching comment was Yuyu's big wife. The fans all reposted it and commented, "Rich woman, please forgive me. Shin Yu also saw the situation in the comment section. It's her again. His agent glanced at him and said, this fan is also very loyal to you. Remember? I remember her. Of course he remembered her. When Shin Yu first entered the entertainment industry, this rich woman was already there. Other than being rich, she was also very cold. Other than drawing prizes, she was also very generous. At one point, people suspected that she was Shin Yu's own account. When Shin Yu saw the prize, he paused for a moment. Sinew Technology. He remembered that Sinew Technology was one of the investors of Cloud Top. It must be a coincidence. Shin Yu shook his head and threw out the unrealistic thoughts in his mind. The day after the termination of the contract, Shin Yu signed the contract with Xingyao. That night, Shin Yu updated his Weibo and Xingyao's official Weibo reposted it. The comment section was full of congratulations. The fans thought that this was already good news among good news. Unexpectedly, 2 days later, the official Weibo of Yundian posted Shin Yu's Weibo and announced the male lead candidate under the anticipation of netizens. Bells in the wind, oh my god, SY is too awesome. First, they signed Xingyao, then the male lead of Cloud Top. This series of actions caught people off guard. Love fish for a lifetime, no wonder they are my idol. They never disappoint. Because of this series of actions, Shin Yu almost became a hot topic. The netizens were enjoying the drama. Shin Yu had already packed his things and was ready to go to the set. His agent and Shin Yu were both signed under Xingyao. In addition to his agent, Xingyao also arranged 2 assistants for Shin Yu. This time, they would be filming in M City for about 3 months. Coincidentally, Shin Yu didn't have any other jobs. There weren't any investors in the set, so the atmosphere was very good. Shin Yu had already familiarized himself with the script before coming. With his talent, he could almost pass it in one go. Director Yuan was full of praise for him. Brother Shin, someone is visiting. After filming that day, one of the assistants ran to Shin Yu and said mysteriously, Brother Shin is so popular, isn't it normal for people to visit? Why do you look like you haven't seen the world? The agent laughed and scolded. When the agent sent Shin Yu to the lounge, he knew why the assistant had such an expression. It was because the person who came to visit was none other than the head of the Shang group, Shang Junlin. Shin Yu had yet to change out of his costume. Before he came to film, he had met Shang Junlin quite a few times. Basically, it was Shang Junlin who invited him every time. If Shin Yu had nothing to do, he would go to the appointment. He had always been curious as to why the dignified CEO of the Shang Corporation had so much free time to eat with him. But every time he asked, the answer he got was, I'm not busy. The agent silently left and left the space for the 2 of them. Shin Yu walked to the sofa and sat down. He was wearing a moon-white ancient costume. It seemed that he hadn't come out of his role yet. His every move revealed the unique elegance and alienation of the character. Shang Junlin stared at him almost without blinking. Shin Yu poured 2 cups of warm water and handed one to Shang Junlin. Mr. Shang, why are you here? Shin Yu had been on set for more than a month. During this month, he hadn't stopped contacting Shang Junlin. Every day when he was free, he would chat with him. Before today, Shang Junlin had never revealed that he was coming to M City. I'm here to deal with some matters at the branch. Shang Junlin's words were true, but he didn't say that it was usually not his turn to deal with such matters. If Shin Yu hadn't been filming in M City, he wouldn't have made a special trip here. Why didn't you tell me yesterday? Shin Yu took a sip of the tea. Mr. Shang, are you planning to give me a surprise? Are you surprised? Shang Junlin didn't comment. Yes, I am. Shin Yu's eyes curved slightly. His cold temperament was broken, like the melting of spring snow. "Mr. Shang, did you come to visit me because you miss me?" It must be known that the filming of Top of the Clouds was completely closed, and visitors were not allowed to visit. Genius 1 second. Remember this website, www.biku50. CC Literature Mobile Version Website, biku50. CC. Chapter 289. Knock knock. Just as Shang Junlin was about to say something, someone knocked on the door. "Come in." The manager walked in under Shang Junlin's unfriendly gaze. He didn't want to disturb them at this time, but he had something important to do and couldn't afford to delay it. Brother Shin, Director Yuan changed the script a little and said that he wants to reshoot a scene. He wants you to go over. Originally, there was no more filming for Shinyu today, but Shang Junlin specially came over. He had planned to go out for a meal with Shang Junlin, but now it seemed that it wasn't possible. "President Shang, do you want to watch me film?" Just like that, Shinyu had a big tail following behind him. Seeing Shinyu coming over, Director Yuan immediately called him over and explained the scene to him. As he was busy, Shinyu didn't have time to care about Shang Junlin. The manager followed beside Shang Junlin and explained to Shinyu in a low voice, "Brother Shin is like this when he is filming. He is completely immersed in the scene, I know." Shang Junlin looked at the young man on the set without blinking. The young man put on a new costume. Under the camera, he seemed to be a different person. The immortal who cared about the world seemed to have walked out of a book under his acting. Under the camera, Shinyu seemed to be glowing. It was so dazzling that people couldn't look away. It was already an hour later when the scene ended. Shinyu got out of character and saw the man sitting on a small stool at a glance. The man was tall and had nowhere to put his long legs. Sitting on the small stool, Shinyu didn't know why, but he gave off a sense of grievance. Shinyu smiled at him and lowered his head to take off the props. The director was very satisfied with the new scene. He clapped his hands and said, "Let's call it a day." Suddenly, there was a commotion on the set. Shang Junlin's appearance didn't lose to any celebrities. His sudden appearance on the set was too eye-catching. Many people had been secretly sizing him up for a long time. If they didn't know that Director Yuan had strict rules, they would have made a scene just now. Now that the filming was over, they were secretly trying to find out the identity of the newcomer. The manager frowned. Worried that Shang Junlin would be unhappy, he said, "Brother Shin, do you want to go to the waiting room after the shoot?" Shinyu was about to walk towards Shang Junlin when he heard the director calling him. "Shinyu, come and take a look." Helplessly, Shinyu gave the man who had been waiting for a long time an apologetic look and went to the director. A fan came to visit and gave a lot of things to the crew. "Let's split it up, everyone will get a share." The stage supervisor raised his megaphone. Behind him, there were a few men in waiters' clothes. Each of them was holding something in their hands. There were various snacks and drinks, as well as the main course. "Is this the food of Zhongling Ji?" The person who received the food looked at the food in his hand in astonishment. The packaging was exquisite, and the exquisite logo couldn't be ignored. It was indeed Zhongling Ji. Whose fan is it? How generous! Zhongling Ji is a high-end food brand under the Shang Group. Their food is delicious, but it's also very expensive. Everyone will get a share. They have all kinds of staple and non-staple food. Oh my God, how much did this cost? The crew usually doesn't allow people to visit the set. Today, it seems that only Brother Shin has a fan. Everyone's attention was captured by the food. After being curious for a while, they didn't care about the extra person in the crew. Shinyu and the director chatted for about 10 minutes. The director saw that he had something on his mind and mercifully let him go. Go. Director Yuan, I want to take a day off tomorrow. Shin Yu didn't have many scenes tomorrow, so he could squeeze a day off. Director Yuan glanced at him and then looked at the extraordinary man whose eyes were fixed on Shin Yu. Okay, I'll give you a day off. He had a good impression of Shin Yu. After working together, he could understand why Shin Yu could achieve so much at such a young age. He never acted like a big shot, treated his work seriously, was willing to work hard, and had a good understanding. Working with him was simply too worrisome. After getting a day off, Shin Yu was happy. After saying goodbye to Director Yuan, he walked to Shang Junlin. Mr. Shang, I've made you wait for a long time. This time, I'll treat you to a meal. Shang Junlin, I've already booked a hotel. You can treat me next time. Shin Yu, that's fine too. If Mr. Shang comes to visit again, let me know in advance. I'll ask Director Yuan to adjust the time. Shang Junlin, you don't have to adjust the time for me. It's good to watch you film. Shin Yu, what do you think of my acting, Mr. Shang? Shang Junlin, it's very good. Shin Yu went to remove his makeup and change his clothes first. Then, he left the set with Shang Junlin. The black car stopped at the side of the road. Shang Junlin opened the door and let Shin Yu get in first. After the two of them sat down, the car started slowly. Shin Yu glanced at the driver's seat. The driver was a man he didn't know. This is my other secretary. His surname is Tan. After satisfying his curiosity, Shin Yu relaxed and leaned against the back seat. If Mr. Shang didn't come, I might have to wait 3 months before I can leave the set. Director Yuan is willing to let me go. Did Mr. Shang do something? I told him in advance that I'll take you out for a meal. Before coming, Shang Junlin had learned about Shin Yu's schedule from the crew. Shin Yu didn't have a lot of work to do today. If it wasn't for the sudden change of scenes, he would have finished filming for the day. This time, Shang Junlin took Shin Yu to an old hotel under the Shang Group. Shin Yu had heard about this hotel a long time ago. Standing at the entrance of the hotel, Shin Yu looked at the man and said, "Will I get special treatment if I follow Mr. Shang, the big boss behind this hotel? Does it count if you can complain to him face to face?" Shang Junlin took out a scarf from the car and put it on Shin Yu. After entering autumn, the weather was getting colder by the day. The warmth brought by the scarf instantly spread all over Shin Yu's body. Shin Yu looked down. Is this a gift from Mr. Shang? I'll give you the real gift when we go in. Shang Junlin led him into the hotel. When the big boss arrived, the person in charge of the hotel personally came out to welcome him. He knew the big boss's habits. He didn't say a word along the way. After arranging everything, he turned around and left. Shang Junlin chose to eat at the top floor. It was a completely transparent restaurant. Standing in it, one would feel as if they were in the clouds. Shin Yu knew this place. It was known as the Cloud Restaurant. It was a very famous scene in the hotel. It was said that eating there was like being in a fairyland. Even though the price was ridiculously high, there were still many people who wanted to experience it. But today, the restaurant, which was supposed to be full, was only occupied by Shang Junlin and Shin Yu. The surroundings were filled with blue flowers. The lights were also adjusted to the corresponding blue color. The crystals refracted beautiful light. It was a beautiful scene. Shin Yu and Shang Junlin sat opposite each other. Shang Junlin took out a small exquisite box and put it on the table. He pushed it to Shin Yu. See if you like it. Shin Yu opened the box. A pair of sapphire cufflinks came into view. The cufflinks were exquisite. The sapphire lay on the black velvet cloth. Under the light, it emitted a faint light. It was like the deep sea that one couldn't see the bottom of. With just one look, Shin Yu fell in love with it. Seeing the love in his eyes, Shang Junlin's tense nerves relaxed. He lowered his eyes and cut the steak in his hand. After cutting it, he naturally swapped it with the one in front of Shin Yu. Try it. The steak was fresh and tender. Shin Yu unknowingly finished half of the plate and put down his fork. What's wrong? Is it not to your taste? Shang Junlin put down his fork. No, it's delicious. But I can't eat too much now. Shin Yu sighed. After this movie is finished, President Shang, please treat me again. Not filming meant that he didn't have to worry about gaining weight. It meant that he could eat as much as he wanted. Shang Junlin chuckled, it's my fault. Have some fruit. Shin Yu forked a few pieces of fruit and said while eating, when I first joined the crew, Feng Shang's people came to find me. Later, they stopped. Did President Shang do something? Don't worry. They can't even take care of themselves now. They won't affect you. Shang Junlin said calmly. He didn't even need to do anything to deal with a company like Feng Shang. Just tax evasion alone was enough to make them suffer. Shang Junlin handed over the evidence that he ordered people to find. How could Feng Shang still care about Shin Yu? Thank you, President Shang. Cheers. Even if Shang Junlin didn't say it, Shin Yu also knew that his troubles were solved by this man. His agent had told Shin Yu more than once that with President Shang's protection, he could do whatever he wanted in this circle. It was reasonable to say that if Shang Junlin had any plans for him, he should have told him about it. But the fact was that Shang Junlin had helped him solve many problems in silence. He never said or hinted at anything. He gave him an environment where he could do what he liked with peace of mind, so he didn't have to worry about any external factors. Shin Yu poured himself a glass of wine and shook the glass. Through the transparent red liquid in the crystal glass, Shin Yu saw his own smiling eyes. He took a sip, and the taste of wine spread in his mouth. Unknowingly, the master finished the glass of wine. Shin Yu's eyes were also stained with drunkenness. Slightly tipsy, Shin Yu stood up. He didn't know if it was because of the dazzling light or because he was really drunk, but he staggered. Shang Junlin quickly stood up and supported him. Shin Yu leaned into the man's arms. I'm a little dizzy. Shang Junlin sat down and held him in his arms. He rubbed his forehead. Why is your alcohol tolerance so low? Do you feel better? While the man wasn't paying attention, Shin Yu picked up the glass in front of the man and took a big gulp. Shang Junlin wanted to say something, but Shin Yu had already pulled his tie and leaned forward to kiss him. Shang Junlin swallowed unconsciously when the strong wine was poured into his mouth. The wine passed through his throat with the young man's breath, bringing a burst of heat. Shang Junlin put his arms around the young man's waist and took the initiative to deepen the kiss. The taste of the strong wine spread in their mouths. After some time, Shin Yu felt that he was even more drunk, and the root of his tongue was also very numb. He pressed his right hand on the back of the man's neck and struggled to escape from the man's lips. Shang Junlin slowly let go of Shin Yu's lips. He lowered his eyes and stared at the young man's lips that had been brutalized. His eyes were deep. I'll send you back. His voice was full of uncontrollable desire. Shin Yu felt something. He leaned into the man's arms and panted slightly. Before coming out, I asked for a day off from Director Yuan. Shang Junlin's forehead twitched, and his voice was hoarse. Do you know what you're talking about? I'm not so drunk that I don't know anything. Or does Mr. Shang not want to? Shin Yu laughed softly. His soft lips gently rubbed the man's neck, and he said meaningfully, but Mr. Shang's body doesn't seem to say that. Shang Junlin suddenly picked up Shin Yu, turned around, and walked towards the elevator. His footsteps were messy. The door of the presidential suite was pushed open and then slammed shut. Shang Junlin carried him all the way to his bedroom and put him on the bed. He leaned over and said with a deep gaze, "Genius, 1 second, remember this website, www.biku50. CC Literature Mobile Version Website, biku50. CC." Chapter 290. Shinyu lay on the bed and put his hands on the man's shoulders. He raised his eyebrows slightly and asked, "What do I regret?" At this point, even if Shinyu wanted to go back on his words, Shang Junlin couldn't stop. Shang Junlin kissed Shinyu's forehead and slowly left his mark on her body. Shinyu raised his head high and his Adam's apple was sucked into the man's mouth. He gently nibbled on it. The fire spread like a raging prairie. It was as if he was in a prairie of fire. Every part of his skin was burning and his blood was boiling. In a daze, Shinyu felt that the light above his head was shaking non-stop. His slender fingers grasped the dark patterned bedsheet. Before he could exert any force, his fingers were pulled apart and another person's body temperature covered his fingers. Their fingers were intertwined. The mist dispersed and everything around them was shaking. Shinyu had to hold on to Shang Junlin's shoulders to stabilize his body. Red plum blossoms bloomed on the white snow. When the wind and snow stopped, Shinyu was sweating all over. He lay on the bed lazily and didn't want to move. Shang Junlin hugged him and kissed the skin on the young man's shoulder and neck. Shinyu felt that Shang Junlin wanted more. "I want to take a bath," Shinyu said lazily. Shang Junlin's movements were careful. Except for the initial discomfort, Shinyu was quite satisfied with this experience. "I'll go turn on the hot water first." Shang Junlin kissed Shinyu's lips and casually put on a shirt and got out of bed. Soon, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. Shinyu slightly propped himself up and looked around. Their clothes were thrown messily on the ground. It seemed that they couldn't wear them anymore. Shinyu touched his forehead. He didn't bring any clothes. When Shang Junlin came out, he changed into a bathrobe and had a similar one on his arm. "President Shang seems to have ruined my clothes." Shinyu pointed at the pile of clothes on the ground and joked. "I'll ask my secretary to send 2 sets of clothes over later. Here are my clothes, you can wear mine first." Shang Junlin wrapped the young man in a bathrobe and carried him horizontally. Shinyu was carried to the bathroom and put into the bathtub with the water temperature adjusted. The bathtub was very big, more than enough for a Shinyu to lie in. The temperature of the water was also very suitable, but the water was too clear. The hot water relieved his tiredness. Shinyu put his arms on the edge of the bathtub and invited the man who was making bubbles for him, "Mr. Shang, do you want to join us?" Shang Junlin's eyes darkened as he stepped into the bathtub. With one more person, the extra water overflowed from the edge of the bathtub. Shang Junlin held the young man in his arms and carefully washed every part of him. In the bathroom, the temperature was getting higher and higher, and Shinyu's face was getting redder and redder. Ripples appeared on the water surface. More than an hour later, Shinyu changed into a clean bathrobe and was completely exhausted. Shinyu lay down on the clean bed and fell asleep quickly. Shang Junlin didn't go too far as Shinyu still had to film. Even so, Shinyu still lay in bed for half a day the next day. He wasted his good rest time just like that. Shinyu was lying on the bed with a tablet in his hand and reading the news. He caught a glimpse of Shang Junlin coming in with fruits and asked, "President Shang, aren't you here to deal with official business? Isn't it bad to stay in the hotel all the time?" When Shinyu woke up, Shang Junlin was having a video conference with the company staff. When he heard the commotion, he quickly ended the conference. Until now, Shinyu hadn't seen him ask about the company's affairs. In the middle of the conference, the secretary came and brought Shinyu's clothes. However, Shinyu was too lazy to get up, so he was still wearing the bathrobe that Shang Junlin put on him before he went to bed yesterday. Shang Junlin came over and put the fruit plate beside the bed. He put it on Shinyu's face and felt that his body temperature was normal. He said, "I'm free for a day." Not to mention that he was here for Shinyu, and dealing with official business was just a side trip. Even if he was here for the company's affairs, he wouldn't leave Shinyu alone in the hotel at this time. Shang Junlin put a soft pillow behind Shinyu and helped him sit up, eat something. All kinds of fruits were washed and cut into small pieces and placed on the fruit plate. Shinyu didn't hesitate and asked Shang Junlin to feed him. "I don't want to eat this." Shinyu was very picky sometimes. If he said he didn't want to eat something, he wouldn't eat it no matter what. He would only eat what he liked, and Shang Junlin would eat the rest. "Where are my cufflinks?" Shinyu suddenly remembered the gift he received in the restaurant. Here, Shang Junlin took out an exquisite gift box from the drawer of the bedside table and handed it to Shinyu. "After we left yesterday, the staff put it away." The two of them stayed in the hotel for the whole day. After dinner, Shang Junlin sent Shinyu back to the set. Shinyu didn't let Shang Junlin send him to the set, so he went back to the set in a low-key manner. Shang Junlin watched his back disappear from his sight, then he signaled the driver to drive, "Go to the branch office." Since he came here in person, he would deal with the matter here as well. Shinyu's agent waited for the whole day. When he saw Shinyu coming back, he hurriedly went to greet him. When he saw Shinyu, he stopped in his tracks. The young man's complexion was ruddy, and there was a touch of beauty between his eyebrows. When he thought of Director Yuan suddenly telling him to give Shinyu another day off, his agent could roughly guess what happened last night, and his mood was a little complicated. Shinyu wasn't surprised when he heard from his agent that he had an extra day off. During the day in the hotel, Shang Junlin had asked him if he wanted to rest for a few more days. After this time, the crew received food from the rich fans of some celebrities from time to time. Sometimes it was food from Zhonglingji, sometimes it was food from other restaurants. There was a wide variety of snacks and drinks, and the crew's meals were greatly improved. Later, Shang Junlin came to visit again. This time, the two of them didn't do anything, because Shinyu's filming had reached a critical stage. He had to be hanging from a wire almost every day, so he couldn't squeeze out a holiday. Shang Junlin felt sorry for Shinyu's hard work, but he also knew that this was Shinyu's favorite career, so he couldn't interfere. He only massaged Shinyu to relax after every filming. In the lounge, Shinyu enjoyed the massage service from CEO Shang. After the massage, he leaned over and kissed the man's face. "Thank you for your hard work, President Shang." Shang Junlin pressed him down and kissed him before letting him go. "Pay attention to rest, don't tire yourself out." Shang Junlin acted in a low-key manner. After he came, he accompanied Shinyu to film for a few days. The crew had some guesses about the relationship between the two, but they didn't know if Shang Junlin had done something, so no one talked about it. 2 months later, Shinyu finished filming and returned to B City. When he left, the weather was still warm, but when he came back, it was already snowing heavily in B City. Shinyu wore a coat, a scarf, and a mask as he walked out of the airport. A black Bentley was parked on the side of the road. Shinyu narrowed his eyes and walked straight over. The car window rolled down, revealing the man's familiar side profile. "Why are you alone? Where are your agent and assistant?" Shang Junlin got out of the car and saw the familiar scarf around Shinyu's neck. His eyes overflowed with a smile. "They went to deal with the fans. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come out for a while." Shinyu got in the car, and Shang Junlin also got in. He held his hands in his palms. "Are you cold?" "I'm fine." Shang Junlin's body was very warm. Shin Yu relaxed and nestled into the man's arms. Shang Junlin took the opportunity to hug him. I booked a restaurant. I'll take you to eat first, and then I'll send you back. I've also reserved seats for your agent and assistant. Okay. Shin Yu didn't object. There was still some time before the new year. During this time, Xin Yao didn't arrange any work for Shin Yu, so he could have a good rest for more than a month. A few days after returning to B City, a series of bad news about Fictional Entertainment broke out on the internet. The end of the year was a good time to watch the drama. Netizens moved when they heard the news. Fictional Entertainment and its artists almost dominated the entire hot search. But this time, almost all the news was negative. The disguise was torn apart, revealing the dirty inside. Tax evasion, contract problems, forcing artists, unfair competition, grass-eating rabbit. It's really an eye-opener. I used to think that Fictional Entertainment was a good company. It turns out that they did so many shady things behind the scenes. Yu Yu loves me. Fortunately, my Shin Yu got out of the quagmire early. With their attitude, they still have the nerve to say that Shin Yu became popular because of them. They should be thankful that they didn't drag her down. Bright starry sky, exactly. It's a rotten company from the root. That Zhou Qing is also funny. He snatched SY's resources, and he still has the nerve to criticize them every day. After this incident, whether it was Zhou Qing, Fictional Entertainment, or other people who had taken Shin Yu's resources, they all lost their popularity. The CEO of Fictional Entertainment was also facing jail time because of the company's illegal activities. I heard some insider news that Fictional Entertainment's accounts are not clean. The company's upper management has improper transactions with foreign companies. I'm afraid that this time, they will suffer a big fall. In the future, these people will not bully you anymore. Although he was happy, the manager felt a little complicated. He didn't believe that Shang Junlin was not the one who dug up such a deep inside story. Why would the head of the Shang Group want to deal with Fictional Entertainment? Other than Shin Yu, there couldn't be any other reason. You and CEO Shang, I don't think we are just playing around. If CEO Shang is just playing around with you, then there is no sincerity in this world. Even if he was Shin Yu's manager, he couldn't find any fault with CEO Shang. A person's sincerity could be felt. Shang Junlin's feelings for Shin Yu couldn't be more sincere. I'm asking you, what do you think? It's not easy to get away from someone like CEO Shang. When did I say that I want to get away? But the manager's words reminded Shin Yu that he and Shang Junlin should talk things out. Shin Yu picked up his phone and sent a message to Shang Junlin. Cute you, I said that I wanted to treat CEO Shang to a meal. Is CEO Shang free? The reply was almost instantaneous. CEO Shang, I am free. Where is the place? Shin Yu thought for a while and sent the address of his apartment. Cute you, do you want to try my cooking? CEO Shang, okay. Since he invited Shang Junlin, Shin Yu sent his manager to buy groceries. You have never been willing to cook by yourself. Why do you want to cook by yourself this time? The manager was puzzled. If I cook once, CEO Shang will cook for me in the future. Since I know how to cook, I should let CEO Shang try it. Shin Yu walked into the kitchen. He knew how to cook, but he didn't know how to cook many dishes. After he entered the entertainment industry, he cooked even less. I hope that my cooking skills haven't deteriorated. Don't worry. No matter how the food tastes, CEO Shang will eat it without batting an eyelid, the manager said angrily. The manager went out to buy groceries without complaint. Shin Yu cleaned up the kitchen. Shin Yu only knew how to cook when he was in the mood. After knowing what happened to Feng Shang and Shang Junlin behind the scenes, Shin Yu was in a good mood. The manager came back with groceries soon. I've bought the groceries for you. I guess you don't want me to disturb the two of you. I'll go back first. If you need anything, just call me. Okay, I'll give you a big red packet during the new year. After the manager left, Shinyuk saw that it was almost dinner time. He took out the apron at home, put it on, and started to cook. When he was halfway through, the doorbell rang. Shinyu went to open the door. Shang Junlin stood outside the door in a suit. When he saw Shinyu's appearance, he was stunned for a moment. The young man was wearing home clothes and an apron. He had a strong aura of life. Shang Junlin felt that Shinyu was waiting for him at home. He couldn't help but feel a throbbing in his heart. CEO Shang, why are you looking at me? Come in. As he spoke, he stepped aside to make it easier for Shang Junlin to enter the house. After entering the house, Shang Junlin smelled a strong fragrance. You can cook. A little, Shinyu said. CEO Shang, why are you here so early? The dishes aren't ready yet. Since you're here, CEO Shang, let's cook together. Okay, what do you want me to do? Shinyu thought that Shang Junlin more or less knew how to cook. Who would have thought that this man, who had always been successful in business, was really clueless when it came to cooking? Shinyu had to send him to wash the vegetables. After washing the vegetables, Shang Junlin walked to Shinyu. I'm done. What else do you want me to do? In fact, there wasn't much for Shang Junlin to do. However, the man didn't want to leave. Shinyu had no choice but to let him help by his side. The two worked together to cook a table of dishes. Shinyu directed the man to bring the dishes to the table. My culinary skills are not as good as those of other chefs. I hope CEO Shang doesn't mind. After sitting down, Shinyu looked at Shang Junlin, who was sitting obediently at the table like a dog waiting for its owner to call for dinner. Shinyu picked up a few dishes for him with his chopsticks. I worked hard for a few hours to make this. CEO Shang, try it. Shinyu was being modest when he said that his culinary skills weren't good. If he really wasn't good, he wouldn't have shown his culinary skills. The dishes on the table emitted a tempting aroma. They tasted good and looked good. Ayu's cooking is better than anyone else's. Shang Junlin's tone was serious. He didn't say it to please Shinyu, but he really felt so. CEO Shang, no matter how nice your words are, I won't cook for you every day. Shinyu poured red wine for the two of them. He put one of the glasses in front of Shang Junlin. However, if CEO Shang is willing to be my boyfriend, I can cook for you occasionally. Shang Junlin's heart skipped a beat. He held Shinyu's hand. His eyes were deep. I'm very greedy. What I want is not only the title of boyfriend, but also a legally recognized relationship that will never be separated. CEO Shang, you want to marry me? Shinyu was stunned. This was something he had never thought of. A few years ago, the country opened the policy of allowing same-sex marriage. However, there weren't many same-sex couples who actually went to register for marriage, especially those who had a big family like Shang Junlin. Shinyu himself had never considered marriage. Yes, I'm serious about you from the beginning to the end. In this world, the only thing I want is you. I wanted to bring it up at a formal occasion, but the man's expression was sincere. There was no trace of a joke. Shinyu knew that because he had started it first, he only wanted to clarify the relationship between the two of them with Shang Junlin. However, what he didn't expect was that Shang Junlin already had a deeper plan in his heart. Genius 1 second. Remember this website, www.biku50. CC Literature Mobile Version Reading Website, Biku50. CC Chapter 291. Shin Yu looked down at the man. He could feel the anticipation and the nervousness hidden under the man's anticipation. If I don't agree, what do you plan to do? I'll ask you again after a while until you agree. Shang Junlin never wanted a moment of pleasure. He wanted to have it for a long time. Mr. Shang, are you so sure that I'll agree? Shin Yu narrowed his eyes. Then, will you agree? The man's tone had a hint of uneasiness. I can let you try it out first. If I'm satisfied, I'll agree. What do you think? What else could Shang Junlin think? He was already very satisfied that Shin Yu agreed to try it out instead of rejecting it outright. Okay, Mr. Shang, please get up. We haven't finished eating yet. Shin Yu stretched out his hand. Shang Junlin took it and stood up. For the rest of the time, Shin Yu was a little absent-minded. When he first developed a relationship with Shang Junlin, he didn't know that Shang Junlin was planning to get married. He was not even 25 years old now. If there were no accidents, he would become a married man soon. Shin Yu smiled at the thought of his marriage partner being Shang Junlin. It didn't seem to be a bad thing. After the meal, Shin Yu instructed Shang Junlin to clean up the dishes. There was a dishwasher at home, so Shang Junlin didn't have to do it himself. Mr. Shang, do you want to stay today? Shin Yu leaned against the kitchen door and asked the man who was busy in the kitchen. In order to make it easier for him to move, the man rolled up his sleeves to his elbows, revealing his smooth forearms. Shin Yu knew how strong his arms were. After all, he had personally experienced it. Hearing Shin Yu's question, Shang Junlin's hands paused for a moment. I'd love to. Shin Yu chuckled. He walked over and hugged the man's waist from behind. Mr. Shang, how do you feel on your first day with a boyfriend? Shang Junlin dried his hands and turned around to hug Shin Yu. It feels good. It would be better if we could do this every day in the future. Even Mr. Shang has to do housework every day. Shin Yu was held in the crook of the man's arm as if he was holding a child. He looked down at him. Yes, you doesn't have to do anything. Just do what you like. I'll do everything else. Shin Yu was very satisfied with this answer. She lowered her head and kissed the man's forehead. A reward from my new boyfriend. Shang Junlin carried her out of the kitchen and into the bathroom. He placed her on the sink and kissed her. Shin Yu responded enthusiastically. The two of them hadn't been intimate for a long time. Once they started, they couldn't stop. Shin Yu never gave in to himself. He did whatever he wanted. The shower was turned on and the hot water poured down, soaking their clothes. The hot air filled the room and everything in the mirror became blurred. Shang Junlin hugged the young man and whispered in his ear, "You, look back." Shin Yu turned his head and saw himself and Shang Junlin in the mirror. The young man's face was flushed and his eyes were filled with tears. There was a touch of crimson at the corners of his eyes, which was extremely attractive. "You is so beautiful," Shin Yu heard the man's low and hoarse whisper. Shin Yu suddenly withdrew his gaze and a low moan came out of his throat. The sound of the water splashing and the young man's sobbing voice and the man's gentle coaxing could be faintly heard. When Shin Yu was carried out, he had no strength. However, the night was still long. After this time, Shin Yu clearly realized how restrained Shang Junlin was the first time. When he woke up, the bedroom was dark. The curtains were tightly closed to create a comfortable sleeping space for the people in the bedroom. Shin Yu felt like his body was run over by a car. He was in pain everywhere. Memory, he stretched out a hand from the quilt with difficulty and touched the phone on the bedside table. Shin Yu turned on the phone and looked at the time. It was almost 12 o'clock. There were several missed calls and unread messages on his phone. They were all from his agent. Shin Yu opened the messages and saw that there was nothing important, so he replied with a message. The bedroom door was pushed open. Shin Yu heard the noise and looked up. He saw Shang Junlin walking in with a glass of water. You're awake. Drink some water to moisten your throat. Shang Junlin walked to the bedside and helped Shin Yu up and held him in his arms. With Shang Junlin's help, Shin Yu drank the glass of water and felt that his throat was not so uncomfortable. Sorry, I lost control last night. Shang Junlin's tone was gentle and he looked satisfied. Shin Yu glared at him and snuggled back into the quilt. You can't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs. Shang Junlin knew that he was angry, but he did not get angry. He gently coaxed him. It's your boyfriend's first day. I was too excited. It won't happen again. Don't be angry. Shin Yu was not angry because of this. After all, he was partly responsible for last night. After Shang Junlin coaxed him for a while, he changed the topic. Shang Junlin did not go to the company that day. Instead, he accompanied him in the apartment. He had an important meeting the next day, so he left reluctantly. Shin Yu walked Shang Junlin to the door. Seeing that he was not very happy, he raised his head and kissed him on the lips. Mr. Shang, you have to work hard so that you can support me in the future. Shang Junlin hugged Shin Yu's waist and deepened the kiss. After a while, Shang Junlin left. Shin Yu stood by the door and touched his lips. Thinking about the time he spent with Shang Junlin yesterday, he felt that it would be good if they could stay like this in the future. Shin Yu's agent got the news and came to look for him with the work plan for the next year. As soon as he walked in, he noticed the red marks on the neck of the young man who was nestled on the sofa and his rosy complexion. Don't tell me that you and Mr. Shang fooled around for a day and a night. The agent had a complicated expression. Even if you are still young, you can't withstand such. Can an adult's mind not be so dirty? Shin Yu interrupted the agent angrily. Look at the marks on your neck. Fortunately, you don't have any work to do during this period. Otherwise, you will be on the hot search list every day. The agent poured 2 glasses of water and handed one to Shin Yu. Then, he sat on the other side of the sofa. Shin Yu held the glass in silence. He later checked his body. It could be said that he was in a terrible state. There were all kinds of marks on his body. Not to mention the places that couldn't be covered by his clothes, there were even more places that were covered. It was only at home that he was too lazy to cover up. It's not that I'm talkative, but if the matter between you and Mr. Shang is leaked, it will be very unfavorable for you. Having been in this circle for a long time, the agent knew better than anyone that news like this would often have a great impact on the weak side. He didn't want Shin Yu to be hurt because of this matter. Mr. Shang said that he wants to marry me. Hearing this sentence, the agent almost spat out the water in his mouth. He swallowed the water in his mouth with difficulty and said in disbelief, Mary. You are only 25 years old. Why are you getting married? The agent instantly exploded, as if he was an old mother who had been cheated of her child. Don't be so agitated. I haven't agreed yet. Shin Yu slowly drank a mouthful of water. Without waiting for the agent to relax, he continued, however, it should be soon. You can start preparing. Preparing for what? Of course, it was something that was public. The agent couldn't bear this blow. He didn't understand how in just one day, Shin Yu and Shang Junlin had developed to the point that they were going to get married. Let's not talk about this first. What is Xinyao arrangement for me next year? In order to prevent the agent from getting too agitated, Shin Yu took the initiative to change the topic. Speaking of business, the agent reluctantly calmed down. He was very satisfied with Xinyao's arrangement for Shin Yu. However, when he thought that it was because of Shang Junlin, he felt very dissatisfied. After the new year, Shinyu immersed himself in his busy work. Xinyao gave Shinyu an endorsement for a big foreign brand. Shinyu flew abroad for more than a month and even made a cameo appearance in a veteran singer's new MV. Without Fing Shang Entertainment's interference, and with Shang Junlin's protection, Shinyu's stardom skyrocketed. In the new year, Shinyu was very busy. Shang Junlin was also very busy. The two rarely met up. However, no matter where Shinyu was, as long as Shang Junlin was free, he would go to see him. In April, the promotion of Top of the Clouds began. As the lead actor, Shinyu needed to follow the crew. Shang Junlin, who finally got to spend some time with Shinyu, had to face separation again. Shinyu knew that he was reluctant to part with Shinyu. He kissed the man's cheek and said, "Why don't I accompany you to the company these few days?" Shang Junlin's response was to kiss Shinyu excitedly. The next day, the people working at the headquarters of the Shang Group found that their CEO had brought someone with him. However, this person was very mysterious and no one knew his identity. Shinyu and Shang Junlin directly took the elevator to the top floor. The Shang Group was rich and imposing. The entire commercial building belonged to the Shang Group. The entire top floor was Shang Junlin's office area. Other than a few important people, ordinary employees would not come up. The entire office area was bigger than Xingyao's. The facilities were also more complete. There was an office, a lounge, a leisure area, everything. Shang Junlin took Shinyu to walk around. Shinyu was surprised to find that there was also a video room. In it was the latest film equipment developed by Shinyu Technology. Shinyu curiously took a few more glances. Shinyu Technology was another investor of Top of the Clouds. Shinyu looked at the equipment that was more advanced than the ones on the market and asked, "What is the relationship between President Shang and Shinyu Technology?" Shinyu Technology was a new company that had been established for less than 8 years. It had only been 3 years since it started from an unknown company. The boss behind the scenes was very mysterious. The outside world was very curious about its founder. However, every time Shinyu Technology showed up, it was only the person in charge. Until now, no one knew who the real owner was. Shinyu was established before I entered the Shang Group, Shang Junlin replied. Shinyu realized that he was not surprised by this answer. It was as if to him, Shang Junlin should be so powerful and omnipotent. If that's the case, isn't President Shang the biggest investor of Top of the Clouds? No wonder President Shang could ignore the rule of not allowing visitors to visit me on set. I didn't mean to hide it from you. Shang Junlin caressed Shinyu's face. Is you unhappy? No, my boyfriend is so powerful. I'm only happy. Shinyu rubbed his face against the man's hand. Shang Junlin had a meeting in the morning. After settling Shinyu in his office, he said, "If you're bored, you can ask Secretary Du to show you around. I'll wait for you here." Shinyu refused. He knew how famous he was. If he went out for a walk, the news of him being here would be exposed. I'll be back soon. In order to go back to the office to accompany Shinyu, Shang Junlin pushed the meeting to an hour. After it ended, he handed the rest of the matters to the person in charge and returned to the office first. Everyone in the meeting room looked at each other. President Shang, do you have something to do today? It was not Shang Junlin's usual style to shorten the meeting time and leave as soon as it ended. I heard that President Shang brought someone here today. It must be related to this person. Why didn't I hear that President Shang would bring someone to the company? Okay, let's not talk about this. There are a lot of things waiting for us to do. When Shang Junlin returned to the office, he saw the young man sitting on the sofa at first glance. A faint sense of satisfaction rose in his heart. He couldn't help but think how good it would be if he could see Shinyu in the office every day. Finished so soon. Shinyu looked up when he heard the door open. It's nothing important. What's more, Shang Junlin couldn't leave Shinyu alone in the office for too long. Shang Junlin had official business to attend to, so Shinyu sat aside and played with his phone. Unknowingly, it was already noon. Shang Junlin raised his wrist and looked at the time. Do you want to eat out or in the company? Let's eat here. Try what President Shang usually eats. Shang Junlin instructed Secretary Du to deliver 2 servings of food. After Secretary Du delivered the food, he quietly left. The food in the Shang family was good. Shinyu ate with satisfaction. Is there a charger? My phone is out of battery. Shinyu looked at the dangerously low battery and asked. Shang Junlin found a charger and took out a tablet. You can play with this for a while. The password is your birthday. I'm almost done with my work. I can go back in a while. Shinyu turned on the tablet. Obviously, this tablet wasn't used by Shang Junlin. There were very few things on it. Seeing the familiar Weibo icon, Shinyu clicked on it. The homepage was full of his own posts. It seemed that President Shang not only used Weibo, but also followed him. Shinyu curiously clicked on the Weibo homepage. When he saw the name, he was stunned for a while. Yu's first wife. He was very familiar with this ID. Since his debut, this ID had always been with him. Was this person actually Shang Junlin? Shinyu felt that it was incredible. After browsing Weibo for a while, Shinyu was almost certain that Yu's first wife was really Shang Junlin. An indescribable emotion welled up in his heart. Reason told him that he shouldn't disturb Shang Junlin at this time. However, Shinyu couldn't help it. He wanted to do something. He took the tablet and walked behind Shang Junlin. President Shang, have you been following me for a long time? Shang Junlin looked away from the computer screen. What's wrong? Shinyu put the tablet in front of Shang Junlin. President Shang, is this the most successful case of chasing after a celebrity? Shang Junlin laughed. He gently pulled Shinyu into his arms. Indeed, I've already won a Yu's heart. President Shang, you've always helped me out of selfishness, haven't you? Shinyu lowered his eyes. It was hard to see the emotions in his eyes. Shang Junlin gently pinched Shinyu's chin and looked at him with deep eyes. I admit that I've had ulterior motives for a Yu since the beginning. Will a Yu be angry? He didn't know when this hurried glance had completely engraved this person in his heart. Before he fell in love with Shinyu, Shang Junlin scoffed at love and love at first sight. However, Shinyu's existence told him that love was never controlled by reason. Falling in love was falling in love without any reason. The man's eyes were filled with deep love. Usually, Shinyu could feel Shang Junlin's love for him from his words and actions. He never doubted that Shang Junlin loved him. Shinyu wrapped his arms around the man's neck and looked at him seriously. I won't be angry. On the contrary, I'm very happy to know that the person I like has liked me for a long time. Shang Junlin couldn't hold back anymore. He kissed Shinyu's lips. This kiss was full of plunder and strong aggressiveness. It was firmer than before and couldn't be refused. After he was released, Shinyu leaned on the man's shoulder and gasped. He felt the change in the man's body. Shinyu leaned over to Shang Junlin's ear and whispered, President Shang, do you want to go to the lounge? The meaning of this sentence at this time was self-evident. Shang Junlin's eyes instantly darkened. He stood up with Shinyu in his arms and knocked open the door of the lounge. When the door was closed, the two of them were kissing. The manager found that Shin Yu and Shang Junlin were even more clingy when they were together. He appeared between the two of them like a huge light bulb. The manager, who was exhausted, decided that if it wasn't for something important, he wouldn't disturb the two of them. Peak of the Clouds was scheduled to be released during the summer vacation. After it was released, the box office was very good. In just 2 days, it broke the record of the previous years. Peak of the Clouds and Shin Yu were on the hot search list almost every day. Shin Yu's outstanding acting skills were unanimously recognized. The praise on the internet was endless. Shin Yu's popularity increased again, and he was constantly invited to appear in the movie. On the first day of Peak of the Clouds, Shin Yu and Shang Junlin went to watch the movie together. In the movie, the moment when the protagonist was in pain, Shin Yu felt his hand being held tightly. He pulled himself out of the movie and patted Shang Junlin's hand to comfort him. He lowered his voice and said, "I'm fine. It's all in the movie." Fortunately, there were many sobs in the theater at this time, so no one noticed them. After watching the movie, Shang Junlin's mood was still very low. Shin Yu had to comfort him. Shang Junlin was comforted, but his waist was also crippled. After washing up, Shin Yu was held in Shang Junlin's arms. "Yu, come back to the Shang family with me this year, okay?" Shin Yu was very sleepy. He just didn't want Shang Junlin to disturb his sleep, so he just answered. When he woke up the next day, he found that there was an extra ring on his finger. "President Shang, does this count as acting first and reporting later?" Shin Yu waved his hand with the ring on it. Shang Junlin hugged the young man from behind. "Does you agree?" "I put it on, so it's mine." "What about the other ring?" Shin Yu lowered his head and looked at the ring on his finger. He didn't know when Shang Junlin ordered it. The size of the ring was just right, and the design was not complicated. Shin Yu liked it very much. Shang Junlin took out the other ring. Shin Yu saw his initials engraved on the inner wall. Under the man's expectant gaze, he put it on for him. "From now on, President Shang is mine alone." "Yes, it will always be a Yu's." That year, Shin Yu's love life was a double success. Top of the Clouds was nominated for the Gold Award, and Shin Yu won the Best Actor award with his outstanding acting skills. During the award ceremony, Shin Yu went on stage to receive the award. The sapphire cufflinks on his wrist reflected a mysterious light. There was a lot of jubilation on the internet. Today is also a day to scream crazily for Yu. His clothes are so handsome. Is there a brand that will claim the dress? So handsome, so handsome. I'm licking the screen crazily. Did anyone notice you use cufflinks? It's a pair of rare gemstones. Some big shots took it away. They said that it was the finale of an auction, and it was bought by the Shang Corporation. After the award ceremony, Shin Yu posted on Weibo to announce his relationship with Shang Junlin. Soon, this Weibo post was reposted by Shang Junlin and the Shang Corporation's official Weibo accounts. Weibo exploded. One after another, Shin Yu was trending. The news that had been suppressed before was also released one by one. The netizens dug out the sweets from the news. "I announced that I'm KDL. It's too sweet. Sob sob sob. Sisters, did you see that? It turns out that Yu's first wife is President Shang. President Shang has been secretly watching Yu for a long time." The people on the set of Top of the Clouds said that when President Shang visited Yu on set, he was always with Yu. Yu was the main focus of everything. If you don't believe me, look at the link. Link attached. After receiving the award, Shin Yu announced their relationship in a high-profile manner. After that, he didn't hide it anymore. Fans could often see the two of them showing off their love on Weibo. At the end of the year, Shin Yu went to visit the Shang Corporation with Shang Junlin. The Shang Corporation's people liked Shin Yu very much. Shin Yu's mother was also a fan of Shin Yu. It could be said that Shin Yu was the favorite of the Shang Corporation. On New Year's Eve, Shin Yu stayed up with the Shang Corporation's people. Do you want to watch the fireworks? The Shang Corporation's old house wasn't in the main city. Every winter, they could see large-scale fireworks. When Shin Yu and Shang Junlin came to the courtyard, the fireworks had already started. The beautiful flowers bloomed in the sky, illuminating the night sky as bright as day. Shang Junlin lowered his head and kissed Shin Yu's lips. They would spend the rest of their lives together. Genius 1 second. Remember this website, www.biku50. CC Literature Mobile Version Website, Biku50. CC